Hey guys, so in lesson 31, we talked about comparing shapes and we talked about their sides, their angles, their square corners. Some of them have sides that are the same length. We really did a lot of hard work when we did lesson 31. Well, this lesson 32, we're going to talk about different shapes and we're going to understand what makes a shape a shape. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about quadrilaterals. I want you to underline that word and then I want you to write 4 because a quadrilateral is just any shape that has 4 sides. Y'all, there are so many different quadrilaterals. And the first two that we're going to focus on are a rhombus. You may have called this a diamond in second grade, and a rectangle. We've all seen a rectangle. So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how are the rhombus and rectangle the same and how are they different. Now let me tell you a first grade answer. A first grade answer would be, oh, they both start with R's. They do, y'all. But in third grade, we're really thinking more deeply. We're really going deep here in our thinking, and we want to figure out as we're looking at them what is the same about them, the shapes, not the words, but the shapes, and how are they different. Okay, A says, which of the two shapes has 4 sides and 4 angles? So when I look at the rhombus, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Rectangle, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then look at the angles, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, they both do. So I'm going to write rhombus and rectangle. They both have 4 sides and 4 angles. Got my comma there because I made a list. B says, which of the two shapes has 2 pairs of sides that are the same length? You may have heard this said, opposite sides are the same length. So this is the same length as this side. This side is the same length as that side. This side is the same length as this side. And that side is the same as that side. So both of them have 2 pairs. Now, y'all, when I say pair, I mean 2. This one's equals same length, that one's same length. So that one has 2 pairs. So both of them also. So I'm going to also for this one put rhombus rectangle. C, which of the two shapes has 4 sides that are the same length? Now only one of them has 4 sides that are the same, and that is the rhombus. Which of these two shapes has 4 square corners? And y'all, let me see if I can grab something here to show you about square corners. So remember, y'all, square corners are just like the corners of our papers. Here is a way to test it. I just went and got a random piece of paper. When I put this in that corner, fits perfectly. If I put this one in that corner, that's how I know it's a square corner, because I can test it with something else that has a square corner. Watch what happens when I put up, it doesn't fit in there. You notice how perfect that one fits. This one doesn't. So y'all, a rhombus has no square corners, but the rectangle has all square corners, or 4. Now, let's do some writing. How are the rhombus and rectangle shown above alike, and how are they different? Okay, so I'm going to start with how they're alike. They both, that word is a clue word that lets me know I'm about to talk about how they are alike. They both have 4 sides and 4 angles, period. Now let me talk about how they are different. Now you could have also said that they have 2 pairs that are the same length, but this is all I said. Now let's talk about how they're different. The rectangle has 4 square corners. My pen's giving out on me, but y'all, I had a backup. It's hard when I'm writing on my wall. My pen always gives out, but it's a different color. It's okay, right? All right. We just make the whole word that color. Has 4 square corners, but that is a clue word that lets me know I'm about to tell how something's different. It has 4 square corners, but the rhombus has no square. All right, pen, come on, make it for me. Square corners. All right, let me read this, make sure it makes sense, because we know after we write a sentence, even though we're doing math, we need to make sure it makes sense. They both have 4 sides and 4 angles. That's how they're alike, period. The rectangle has, now this is how they're different. The rectangle has 4 square corners, but the rhombus has no square corners, period. All right, if you need to pause that, pause it so that you can write in your answer for E. And we are on to the back. Just to review, we know that a quadrilateral is any shape that has 4 sides and 4 angles. Y'all look at all of the different shapes that can be quadrilaterals. So it's not just a rectangle and a rhombus, but any shape that has 4 sides is considered a quadrilateral. You can name quadrilaterals by their attributes. An attribute, look at that bold word because the author wants it to stick out to you. This is a nonfiction text we're reading because this is our math workbook. So we have all of the nonfiction text features that we would normally see in nonfiction text. An attribute is a way to describe a shape, like its number of sides or the length of its sides. So the attribute is just how you describe a shape. One attribute is 4 sides. Last week we called it like they might go to the 4 sides club, or they might go to the all sides are the same length club. So now we're knowing that the correct term for that is the attribute. It's kind of like when we're talking about the properties, the attribute. Another attribute is some quadrilaterals have at least 1 square corner. All right, now let's get into parallelograms. A quadrilateral is a parallelogram if it has 2 pairs of parallel sides and 2 pairs of sides that are the same length. Now here's a way that I always describe parallel. So parallel lines, now these shapes right here are parallelograms. I noticed that this side is parallel, the bottom is parallel to the top one. If I kept drawing those lines, and if I just extended this line and that bottom line, they would never touch. They are the same distance apart. That's what it means to be parallel. If you kept drawing those lines, y'all, they won't ever touch. These shapes right here, let me get a pen and see if I can show you here. These are not parallelograms. You know why? Because if I kept drawing this line right here, I'm just going to extend it. Let me extend that one. Boop. You see how they touch? They are not parallelograms. But if I did that to this one, and I got a straight edge, a ruler, and I drew this one and they would never ever touch, y'all. So that's what it means to be parallel. Opposite sides are the same distance apart. Now, a quadrilateral is a rectangle if it has 4 square corners. A rectangle also has 2 pairs of parallel sides and 2 pairs of sides that are the same length. All right, so all of that to say, rectangles have to have 4 square corners. Rectangles also have to have opposite sides that are the same length. That's why this one's a rectangle. Those opposite sides are the same length. These opposite sides are the same length, but curveball, that square is also a rectangle. Opposite sides are the same. Well, all the sides are the same for a square, so a square is a rectangle. These are not rectangles. Now, even though this side is equal to that one, and this side is equal to this one, it doesn't have the 4 square corners. It's got to have 4 square corners. This one has 1 square corner right here, but Opposite sides are not parallel and equal. Now, we've already talked about a rhombus. Let's get into more of what a rhombus is. A rhombus has two pairs of parallel sides and four sides that are all the same length. So, in order to be a rhombus, you just have to have four sides, and all of the sides have to be parallel and the same length. We know that one's a rhombus. Curveball. A square is a rhombus because it has four sides that are the same length, and two pairs opposite sides are parallel. Because to be a rhombus, you don't have to have square corners. So that's why this shape is a rhombus. These are not rhombuses. The reason that a rectangle isn't a rhombus is because the sides are not all the same length. All right, y'all, let's look at the reflect. I'm going to go up here so you can see the reflect. There you go. A square is a quadrilateral. Explain what a square is by writing about, here they're going to tell us what to write about, y'all. They want us to write about its sides and its corners. Okay, so a square has four sides. We got to say that, y'all, because we're talking about quadrilaterals. It has four sides and we could just say four corners, but let's get fancy here because we know that squares have square corners. Period. Let me reread that to make sure it makes sense. A square has four sides and four square corners. That's what makes it a quadrilateral. All right, this is the end of the beginning of lesson 32. This was pages 334 and 335.